Hello. Welcome, listeners, to Unlocking Your Truth with Dr. Leslie and Corey.
Hello, everybody.
Unlocking Your Truth is a talk show about metaphysics and spirituality. We broadcast on 101.7 FM across the Fraser Valley from the unceded territory of the Stolo Nation from CIVL. But you can also catch the podcast, and that is available on all the major podcasting platforms and on my website, drlesliephillips.com. And if you're really smart, or if you really like the show, you can join the Awaken Your Psychic Abilities Facebook group and follow my YouTube channel, and then you get to see the show quite a few weeks ahead of when it actually broadcasts on air.
Yeah, quite a few weeks, actually.
So that's pretty neat, more than a sneak preview. So if you're new to the show, every week we have a different topic, a different discussion topic, which is under the general umbrella of metaphysics, spirituality. We especially like talking about intuition and psychic abilities. And tonight we're doing a topic we've done before, but it's been a little while. And that is to have a conversation about life purpose.
Yeah, we've done it, but it's an important topic.
Yeah, so we'll see if we can do a different angle on it tonight.
As usual, yeah.
Pardon?
As usual, a different angle.
Yeah, I don't know if we will, but yeah, life purpose. So anyone who's in the chat room, I would be really interested on what you think about when we say life purpose. Because I think most people think about there's some special gift that I have that I was put on this earth to do, and that it has something to do with helping other people. That's usually, people have a feeling inside themselves that they are here for a purpose. And if only they knew what it was. Because
Some people call it mission as well, I guess, but yes, a life mission.
Life mission, life path, and so on. I think life path is, in some senses, I like life path, because then it doesn't deny any step along the journey, does it? Every step on the path has purpose. Where sometimes when we're talking about a life purpose or a life mission, we feel like there's a goal that we are supposed to aim for, that we are supposed to achieve. And I think from a spiritual perspective, your life purpose isn't really a goal that you have to achieve. Not in the sense that a project at work is a goal that you have to achieve. Because just by virtue that you are a unique aspect of divine consciousness, just by virtue that you are a fragment of the divine, and just by virtue of the fact that you're on this planet and you have a body, that is hugely purposeful and hugely meaningful and a huge validation of who you are, regardless actually of what you end up doing with your life. I believe, one of the shared purpose of the human race, humanity, is to anchor the light of divine consciousness here on earth in the physical realm. Because we are light, we are love, we are high vibration energy, we are projections from the ultimate divine source of all there is. And yet here we are on the far reaches of reality, i.e. the physical world, bringing that light of God consciousness and anchoring it here. traditionally, in many of the spiritual traditions, the word enlightenment has been used. You know, the purpose is to become enlightened, or the purpose is to become self-realized or self-realized masters. And that's all referring to becoming fully conscious as the spark of divine consciousness you are within the physical body, and learning how to anchor your light here, learning how to balance your energy here, and how to be a fully conscious creator within the material realm. So that's a shared purpose of humanity, that we're all is part of the game on earth, that we would come here and potentially have this experience where we lose our connection with the divine, where we lose our connection with our higher being. But the journey is to realize oneself, to find oneself. So everyone on a spiritual path starts out as a spiritual seeker, don't they? Who am I? Why am I here? What's the meaning to life? Who has the answers? Where are they? Let me dabble in this, let me dabble in that. It's all about rediscovering yourself. It's all about finding that spark of divine consciousness that's you, and letting go of the illusions that you've fallen into. That is, unfortunately, the thing that happens to humans on Earth, because of the density here, because of the time and space here, we focus in a different way.
I think a lot of it is like what we talked about a couple of weeks ago about belief systems. Yeah, I think a lot of our what we think our life purpose is because someone else has pushed us in that direction. And I mean, when you look at people in jobs, they're so unhappy about and I'm not saying that's their life purpose, but they're so unhappy about their jobs, and but they're doing it. And I was one of those people. I was studying electronic engineering in school, and I realized about a year in that I wanted to become an architect. But it was home was so rigid. I couldn't go back and say, I just wasted a year of college. So I just went through and was miserable until I got out and I went into a different direction. And it's not my life purpose. Work is not my life purpose, but I think, when you come from a family,
it's a way that you can express your purpose.
Yeah, it work. Yeah, it is. But I think the point I'm trying to make is that when you're living with a family who is very, let's say, deep into religion, that doesn't have to be your life purpose to follow that religious belief, that spiritual path. You can delve off into something else. Somebody wants you to be, a doctor. That doesn't mean that you have to be a doctor. You can be an artist. You can do what you need to do, following your own spiritual and deep thing. But the problem is that a lot of us don't understand what that purpose is.
Okay, so that
Nate, Nate saying a special skill, asset that is effortless to you, be your life purpose.
I like that, Nate. A special skill that's, I forget the word, an asset that is unique to you. I think that is very close to it. And I think I would refine that further and say, in some senses, it is about truly, authentically, fully being you and fully expressing the essence of you through this body, through this lifetime. And that would include what Nate just said, a special skill. So something that is unique to you. And let's be clear that every single human being is unique and therefore does have something unique to offer the world. And when I say offer the world, I mean in truly being the true absolute vibration of who you are here on earth, being that unique fragment of divine consciousness, because nobody else is going to have the same desires. Nobody else is going to have the same unique quality and frequency and combination of things that delight them. And so the more, I guess, the spiritual journey is an unfoldment of who am I? You know, who am I? And what Corey was talking about, well, who am I not? Because I'm not my beliefs, and I'm not my emotions, and I'm not my thoughts, and I'm not what my parents wanted for me. You know, I'm not what my teachers said I could or couldn't do. I am not the job that I trained for. I'm not the job that I do now. I'm actually not any of those labels. There is an essence that is unique within me, and I came here to express that unique essence. And so you can express that unique essence no matter what you do as a job. In fact, no matter what circumstance that you are experiencing, whether you're out for a walk, having a chat with some friends, or doing something at work, you could do it fully as yourself, being fully present, and expressing that unique essence of you. Or you could show up partially, you know, because you're still programmed with beliefs that are not yours, because you're still carrying trauma from the past that masks you from yourself, and so on.
I have an interesting comment from Brian. He says, and from Letitia. Brian says, maybe it's not a goal, but expressing ourselves as that highest and best expression and experience of ourselves we can imagine or dream up. Very well put.
Yeah, and I think also the key to that is how in alignment does it feel? Because you can feel inside yourself when you're in alignment with yourself, and you can feel when you're out of alignment. So yeah, thank you, Brian, for that comment.
Yep. And Letitia says, I think my life purpose has something to do with helping others in the metaphysical aspects, yet I still haven't been able to myself access my own intuition fully. Is that odd?
I don't think that's odd. I think that oftentimes we have a yearning to do something. We wouldn't have that yearning if it wasn't part of our purpose, or at least our preference. And so, and then often in order to become, so how you become the metaphysical practitioner by practicing metaphysics, right? So you're not just, don't just immediately land perfect. You know, you become a teacher by teaching. You don't just suddenly say, I'm here on earth and I'm the perfect teacher. I'm here on earth and I'm the perfect psychic reader. We all go through an evolution of self, don't we? And so let's say you're a healer, or you're someone in the metaphysical realm giving readings. You are going to be a much better at those things if you've walked a few miles in your own shoes, gone through those different stages of development, because then when people come to you that need healing, that want a reading or some kind of teaching, you know what it is to be them, because you've been there, you've walked that path, you understand what they are going through and why they are suffering. If you just turned up, hello, I'm the perfect one at this, you perhaps would not have that depth of appreciation. So I really wouldn't worry about that. And then I'd also just say, for all the reasons we've discussed many times on this show, we're all psychic. We all have psychic abilities. We all have healing abilities, but just by sheer facet of being on this planet in a physical body. We're trained to be more focused on the physical world with our physical senses through our bodies than we are on the spirit world. So automatically that is something we all have to contend with. And then on top of that, you have all these other things that we were just talking about. Your belief system, your vibration, your emotions, your thoughts. Maybe you could have all sorts of beliefs. You could have a tendency to doubt yourself. You could have a tendency to think that you're unworthy or not good enough. And maybe you learned that as a child, but then as an adult, that's going to interfere with you doing what you want until you clear that program. So it's not peculiar at all. I think it's pretty normal and pretty human, really, Letitia. So folks, you're listening to Unlocking Your Truth, and we're talking about life purpose this evening. And I welcome everyone's comments and everyone who's tuning in live and in the chat room to participate in this discussion. So, I mean, we've been saying, well, we're into this spiritual stuff, right? So we've said, well, we are aspects of God, we're aspects of divine consciousness, we're here on earth, we get lost on earth, but our goal is to find ourselves and be ourselves and fully express ourselves. And then when we do that, we bring that light of divine consciousness all the way on earth, at the leading edge of reality, really. But then the other thing is, here on earth, it has some particular, I think I'll have to talk about the particular things of planet Earth after the break.
More or less, we're just about there. I didn't want you to start into that before you could finish it.
Yeah, so we're going to take a break for some messages, and we will be back shortly. Welcome back, listeners. You're tuning in to Unlocking Your Truth with Dr. Leslie and Corey. Tonight's topic is life purpose. We've been talking about the purpose of self-realization, self-actualization, pure, authentic self-expression. And we've talked about being spirit in a body on earth and how our goal is to reflect the light of the divine that we are through our bodies here. And I was going on to say, continuing the topic of life purpose, that there's some peculiar things about being on earth. Time, space, duality. And duality gives us free will. It gives us the capacity to choose. As spirit, it's different than a spirit, because as spirit, we're at one with everything. So you don't need to choose anything because you are it all, you have it all. But here on earth, you've got time and space. So you can't choose everything at once. You have the opportunity to choose this or that and walk this path of life experience going, I chose this, but why did I do that? Because the results suck.
No, never. That never happens.
I better change that. Oh yeah, this is a bit better, but still, I still feel a craving for something more, and so on. We go through life making choices and having the results of the choices we make fed back to us. And as we do that, we learn more and more about ourselves, and actually we evolve more and more, and we contribute to the evolution of everything. Because every experience that you have has never been had before by anyone ever before. And so there is purpose to every moment in your life, and it is the expansion of consciousness. There's no moment in your life that actually has no purpose. Even if you feel there is no purpose to my life, the purpose that is serving is the experience of you having that feeling that's never been had by anyone else before, but then it's added to the totality of experiences. So, but the other thing that free will and free choice allows you to do is you get to choose how you express that unique divine spark. You could express it being a milkman. Not, I don't think milkmen exist anymore.
Yeah, they do actually. They're starting to become more around.
And you could meet all your customers, and maybe your purpose is to uplift people, open their heart. So everyone you talk to is an opportunity to elevate, help them feel better, because you're transmitting this beautiful vibration.
And you don't have to worry about making mistakes either. I mean, mistakes, everybody makes them. And sometimes mistakes lead you to such a wonderful new place. I mean, that's how a lot of recipes are born, a lot of books are born, a lot of different things are born.
It's true. That other thing that humans do is they say, I'll make up an example, but I think it's probably a good one. Let's say you're a mum and you've got toddlers at home, but you've got a university degree and you train to be, I don't know, a mathematician or something. But meanwhile, you're spending your days, well, a mathematician or a scientist, or it could be anything. You're spending your days with these little kids, right? And you feel like, I am not exercising my brain. I am not fulfilling my purpose. This thing here of being a mum with these little kids is putting my life purpose on hold, and I can't wait till they grow up a bit more so I can actually be out there in the world and fulfill my purpose as a university professor. Well, being the university professor is not your purpose. Maybe your purpose is to inspire youth. And by being a mother with little children, you're inspiring them. Or being a professor, you're inspiring them. And so sometimes we have like a narrow way of looking at our purpose, and we don't really see the wood for the trees about that. I think. Go
I have a
ahead.
comment from Bianca that might be interesting at this point.
Sure.
She says, all my life I've tried to figure out my purpose. I have not once come up with anything that is unique to me or what I have to offer. Is there a possibility that some of us do not have a purpose? If that is not possible, can you tell me if you see anything?
Yeah, I could do that, and I'll just talk a little bit more about that. So you are unique. Just being you, you are unique. There is no other Bianca. There is no other person that is exactly the same as you, that has the exact same energy as you, right? So right there, you're fulfilling a purpose in the symphony of souls just by being that unique energy vibration. A good analogy for that is if every human being on this planet is a unique note, and if together we're meant to make a beautiful symphony, there's no one else that has your note, Bianca. There really isn't. So yes, you do have a unique purpose. The other thing I'll comment on, one of my big things, and it gives me a chance to say, it's in my book. I wrote my book. I'm going to give you an answer that's really the whole purpose of this book, Intuition and Chakras, which is you have a unique psychic blueprint. So you have a unique profile of intuitive abilities that are attuned specifically to your life purpose. So remember, your psychic abilities are channeled through your chakras. Your chakras are unique to you. There's no one else who's got the same chakras as you do, that's channeling the same information that you are, or who has their system set up in exactly the same way that you do. So you have, remember we're saying as spirit you're infinite, but when you come into a body, then you have to narrow it down. So you narrow it down by having an idea of what the purpose of this life is, and therefore what you need to bring forward in order to support that life purpose. there's a good analogy in the book, and I've mentioned it before on the show. So David is coming into his next incarnation. As spirit, he has carpentry tools. He has everything he needs to be a fantastic artist, or a gardener, or a chef, or a mechanic. He has all of that. But this lifetime, he is going to be a carpenter. So he says, well, I need to take my carpentry tools. I don't need to take all this other stuff. And that's an analogy, a metaphor that I use to describe your unique psychic ability blueprint. So knowing about your psychic abilities can guide you in your life purpose in two ways. One is the way I just said, because we can start to look at that configuration and say there's a focus on healing. There's a focus on, I don't know, your heart's affinity, and then put all those pieces together. I'll see if I can find a couple of examples in my book in a moment. And then the other way, of course, opening your psychic abilities helps you is because then you know yourself and you can connect to your answers and your own information. I will take a look at Bianca, but I'm also just going to see if I can read a couple of examples from the end of chapter 1 in my book. So these are all people who had their psychic ability blueprint done by me. Okay. So Jerry had given up his job and sold his possessions. His greatest desire was to create an intentional community with other like-minded individuals. He'd been wandering the earth for 18 months, searching for his tribe. His intuition blueprint showed a focus on his heart chakra because he was expanding his affinity for the planet and helping to create a place of belonging for like-minded people. His clairvoyance helped him focus on his vision, and his inner knowing helped him have faith that he knew how to make his dream a reality. And here's another example. Amy's reading showed she was focused on using clairvoyance, psychometry, and clairsentience. Amy was a detective and she was very skilled at her job and devoted to it. She used her abilities to solve crimes, even though she had not been calling it intuition. So she's a detective, right? And she doesn't know she's using her psychic abilities, but actually she is. So whenever she attended a crime scene, she reconstructed what had happened by feeling the situation unfolding. And seeing as if she was there while the crime was taking place. And there's a little bit more written about some of the things in her life, and I'll give you another one. Brianna came here to nourish the soul. She started as a chef and expanded to develop a school dedicated to inner health. She had a high level of clairsentience, as it was important for her to listen to the body's signals and help keep it healthy. She also had a well-developed communication and visionary aspects and a strong ability to manifest, all of which helped her create her health-focused business. So there's more examples all through the book. But I mean,
these are real examples of real people.
They are, yeah. Some of the names get changed, but they are real examples of real people. And so, there's another one here. A friend of mine, I've changed the name. Callan's purpose was focused on bringing attention to global injustice. He worked in defense in a classified facility where he was exposed to secret military research. Once he left his career, he exposed news stories of governments and corporations and how they've been lying to people. And his chart showed a focus on communication, healing, oneness, and affinity. His life path took him on a journey from working in secrecy to unmasking hidden truths to the masses. So you can start to see everyone has this unique journey, this unique story, this unique blend of psychic abilities that are, and none of those examples I gave you were the same, were they? They were all different. And what was emphasized in each of those persons' psychic ability chart is what would help them explicitly with those themes that with those purposes that we talked about. So Bianca, You've been unable. So one thing, Bianca, you might want to look into, and maybe, I don't know if you're Bianca, I think I've given a psychic ability blueprint to somebody called Bianca. Don't know if it's you. Hopefully it's not you. But let's take a look, because if I have done, if you are the Bianca that's had your, would have talked about your purpose in that. So let's just see what comes up. Excuse me, I'm going to cough. Excuse me. Has Bianca said anything else yet, Corey?
Not yet.
All right, let's have a look. So I think, obviously, your life purpose isn't going to be dictated by a quick 1 minute look on a radio show, but we'll see what we can see. And sometimes challenges can be part of our purpose. And so sometimes there can be things that we have a purpose, or the growth cycle that we're in is the purpose that we're having at the moment. So one of the things that's coming up for Bianca has to do with energy distribution, which is third chakra.
By the way, Bianca says it is me.
Okay. Well, I think go back and listen to the reading then. And I do those readings in trance, and then the information, it's not my information, so I don't know what I said. But right now, what's coming up is your third chakra and energy distribution, and being able to manage and coordinate your energy. So it looks like your energy's, what's the word? It's being diverted into actually things that are not your purpose. It looks like that there are some things that are taking up your energy that are deflecting or distracting from your purpose. And that's another thing that we do, is we sort of take responsibility for all sorts of other people, and our energy is spilling out all over the place. So that's one thing that's coming up to say is, I guess it can get confusing as well if your energy is not focused. So in order to live your purpose, your energy needs to be focused on you. And oftentimes we give our energy away to others, and we put them first and we put ourselves last. And then so a challenge like that can be part of the learning experience of life, which can be part of the purpose in itself, to transcend a challenge. And in transcending challenges and in cleaning up our energy field, then who we are and why we're here actually becomes a lot clearer to us as well.
Ooh. Well, Dr. Leslie, it's time for another break.
All right. Well, listeners, you've been tuning in to Unlocking Your Truth with Dr. Leslie and Corey, talking about life purpose. When we come back, it's over to all our listeners to ask their questions.
Got a lot of questions already lined up for you, Dr. Leslie.
Oh, wow. Welcome back, listeners. Welcome back to Unlocking Your Truth with Dr. Leslie and Corey, talking tonight about life purpose, and looking forward to see what everybody is going to ask about.
You sure?
They're probably all going to go, what's my purpose? What's my purpose? Tell me what my purpose is.
I like to know what my purpose is sometimes. Maybe you should do a reading to me too. No, I know what my purpose is. Okay, this is from Dylan, and Dylan says, sometimes I worry I'm just too critical of myself, thinking that I'm not making enough of an impact on the world, but I know I have still only scratched the surface of my purpose.
Yeah. So thanks for sharing that, Dylan. And of course, when we criticize ourselves and when we judge ourselves, that doesn't support our expansion. and it doesn't raise our vibration. And so it doesn't help us. And the other thing that it does, if we're in a state of judgment or self-criticism, then we are not accepting ourselves exactly as we are in the moment that we are. So we'll often say, well, I'm here and that's not good enough. I should be here. Why aren't I here? You know, I know there's more that I have to give. And so we miss living that piece of our life that we're in now because we're projecting into the future and we're beating ourselves up. And here's the thing. If you're headed in a direction, and things have to change for you to move from A to B, don't they? And so, but for things to change, you have to accept the reality that you're in now. Otherwise, you're in resistance to the reality that you're in now. And if you're in resistance to the reality that you're in now, it's not going to change, or things are going to be harder to change. So the very best thing that you can do is love and accept yourself exactly as you are in every moment that you are, because that opens the gates for life to flow more readily and more easily.
Thank you, Dr. Leslie. Very good. So SG says, I feel like I haven't even scratched the surface of my purpose or all that I can be. I feel like I haven't lived. This is very similar to Dylan.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
Yeah.
Same hold true for him, I guess.
So I feel like you haven't lived. Well, let's take a look at SG's version of the question. See what else comes up to say. Well, what looks to be the case with SG is that it feels like one of the reasons why you have that feeling is because it's like what we were talking about earlier. Are you completely being yourself? Are you completely authentically being yourself and expressing yourself in each and every moment? And it looks like no, you're not. And it looks like the reason that no, you're not is that there's kind of like this other influence on you. It might be a person or people or even just culture, but it looks like it holds you back from fully shining. So one of the questions we need to ask if we're wanting to be fully ourselves is, where am I not being myself? Where am I dealing with well, I call it foreign energy in your space, and that can be someone else. It could be, I don't know, your parents have a different ambition for you than what you'd really like, or your boss does. And so that's what I'm seeing. I'm seeing that there's a nugget of truth in what you're saying, in that I haven't scratched the surface. It's the same as saying I haven't fully become myself yet. Thank you.
Good one. And this is from Jenny. Jenny says, I love how you put it. All experiences enable growth and self-betterment. I felt like you were speaking directly to me, exactly how I've been feeling. That's great.
Yeah, it's funny what words come up, and it's no accident that who listens is listening, really. So you're welcome.
Yeah, and yet even generalities can touch home, but it's like if you've never tasted a strawberry and somebody says the strawberry tastes like this, you can't imagine what a strawberry tastes like, and you can't imagine what that person's tasting. But until you have one, then you have your own version of that taste. And the same with information. Information may sound like it's exactly the same for 3 or 4 people, but how they take it and how they embrace it is completely different.
Exactly. Yeah.
So we have Dan who says, what if one achieved one's life purpose? What happens next? Another life purpose?
Yeah, I would say so, Dan. Absolutely. Absolutely. I think your purpose can change as you go along, and your expression of your purpose can change as you go along. Let's say that your purpose was There's two Dans that listen to this. Not sure which one it is.
Oh, it's our Dan.
Well, so yeah, so let's say your purpose was to do with helping other people, and in your life you had a job where you helped a lot of people, and in your personal life that you did that too. And then let's say you retire from your job, doesn't mean that you stop being the wonderful, helpful, caring soul. And so your purpose can be expressed through different venues, through different circumstances, and so on. But yeah, it is, you can change your purpose partway through. And I've actually done some psychic blueprint readings where somebody's chart that they came in with when they were born and the chart that they have now have been very different. Now, sometimes that happens because they've been invalidated and they turn all their gifts down. But sometimes that happens because they achieved what they came here to do. And then they had room in the lifetime for something in addition, and their whole configuration of their psychic ability shifted and changed to support the new purpose. So the short answer to your question is yes, you can. If you fulfill your first purpose, you then can go on to another one.
It's always golf. And so Bianca says, great question, Dan. Brian comes up with, I'm curious about where life is going for me lately. I've had a lot of energy running through me, like I'm impatient to do something. I thought it was anxiety, but it doesn't feel the same. Not bad, but a lot of energy. If you could look into it for me, I would appreciate it. I haven't felt like this kind of energy since I was a kid.
That sounds good. Well, I wonder where you're feeling the energy. I'm seeing a lot in your hands. I don't know whether that's where you're feeling it, but your hands look really lit up to me. So let's see. I mean, and I can see that the in the body, the sort of thing that you're talking about, the nervousness and the anxiety, but these hands are, it's like the creative energy or the healing energy in your hands is just like, so I think you're looking for an outlet for that, you know, for all of that healing energy. I think it's, you know, healing energy, creative energy, energy to manifest things, to make things, to have things happen. And I can see, actually, I don't know how much COVID is affecting you, but you know, I think a lot of people are antsy, aren't they, that they can't get out and do everything that they like to do. So it's that kind of feeling, like pent up potential, like you're saying, unexpressed pent up potential. And well, you tell us. I mean, do you have an interest in healing or being a healer, or are you a very creative person? Because like I said, I'm seeing the build up being in your hands. I don't know whether that answered his question. Can't remember what the question was now.
You want to review it?
What was the question?
He says, I'm curious about where my life is going for me lately. I had a lot of energy running through me, like I'm impatient to do something. I thought it was anxiety, but it doesn't feel the same. Not bad, but a lot of energy.
Okay,
If
yes.
you could look.
Yeah, I think I gave a good answer. And then also, the other thing, of course, is the energy is shifting on our planet all the time. We're going through major energy shifts all the time, and how we feel within ourselves has to shift to match the new energy. But the first answer is the more relevant to him.
Yeah, I think that energy is great. Like he says, it was like when he was a kid. I mean, that young excitement about life is phenomenal. And you know, like parents say, well, we're going to Disneyland, and if on our vacation in a month, and that month is like, oh boy, we're going to Disneyland. Like it seems like a lifetime before you get there. It's not anxiety. It's the
burst.
yeah, it bursts with something, like you feel something's coming. Well, the thing here, what I would say is stay open to it, man. Just stay open to what's coming, because something's coming for you, something different, something new. Don't be afraid. Don't be worried.
Well, and also choose. It's your choice as well. So Corey said something's coming for you, and another way to look at it is you get to choose. You get to wend your way along your path through your
Yeah.
own choices.
He says, healing, teaching, something spiritual. I'm curious, been through a lot of changes. Well, if you look backwards too, if you look back in your life and notice all the different changes and different little paths that you've taken, and different veering, it doesn't have to be like that major life purpose. You can have purpose here and purpose here, and how everything melded together and brought you to this place. It's obviously that there's a next step for you. And just being on this, your visitation to our show here says something is coming, that you're preparing, that you're learning, you're doing, and it doesn't take much. I mean, it doesn't take much to make a change. Like to help people in their lives, or help yourself in your life, or just go into total happiness about who you are and what you're doing. It's great. If I'm off the base, Leslie, just tell me I'm off base. This is from Mandarini.
I was thinking about chocolate.
Oh yeah, of course. We had to go and get a bunny on the weekend for Leslie. 7:00 at night on Easter Sunday. I haven't had my bunny yet. Sandarini says, "Can you take a look at my situation? I'm already aligned. Am I already aligned with my purpose?"
You are, but you don't always know. You don't always notice. You don't always see it. So it's sort of it's sort of like it could be right in front of you, but you're not seeing it. I'm seeing this idea of a waterfall, the energy coming to you, and it could be just landing in your hands and just not knowing that this is my purpose. So the answer is yes, but it's relating to your own perception of your life that's making you feel that maybe you're not on purpose.
Soulful Connection says, "I feel blocked and floating in the spiritual realm constantly. Can you see what it is causing me to get my spaceship and leave mentally all the time?" Let me read that again.
No, I think I got it. Soulful Connections is floating, and a connection to Earth is blocked. I said her. I'm not sure if it's her or him.
And what's causing me to get me my spaceship and leave mentally all the time? Grounding.
Well, yeah, I mean, obviously you're not grounded enough to stay. The solution is grounding. Ground from your first chakra to the center of the earth. It's interesting because I'm almost seeing there's your body, and then like a kite flying up in the sky, this other version of you, your consciousness, sort of floating around up here. And it feels like daydreaming. I think what's causing it's I want to say lack of discipline, lack of grounding and lack of discipline. But at the same time, I almost want to say there's a kind of a purpose to it. It looks like it's got something to do with, partially you're not being focused here, but partially it's almost like you're dreaming up new stuff, in the realm of ideas and dreams, that maybe at some point might be something that you bring in and anchor in, that ends up being of benefit and of use. So, is there something that's causing you to leave your body, apart from lack of grounding and lack of focus and lack of sort of spiritual discipline? Is there anything that's triggering you to do that? Your crown chakra is really wide open. You might just want to consciously get the idea that you are narrowing your crown chakra. It looks like that's so wide open. It leaves you vulnerable to other energies coming in, and the other energies coming in just, you know, also contribute to you then leaving. Yeah, you need more grounding and more control over your energy.
Thank you. Aniel says, I'm hesitant to keep asking, but I feel that I'm being held back or sabotaged, and I can't seem to break free. Many thanks.
Being held back and sabotaged and can't break free. Oh, this is an interesting one. I'm trying to see, like, this is a very interesting one. And the first thing that comes up is, we had another question before and we were talking about self-acceptance. Because when I look at you, it's like, who's trying to break away from what? And it feels almost like this ego aspect of you is trying to break away from the real you in the mistaken belief that it is the real you. So there's, what comes up is self-acceptance and being able to accept the situation that you're in right here, right now, to fully accept it and not be fighting with it, because it's the fighting with it that then perpetuates it and makes it feel more uncomfortable. So let's see. And here's the thing, the way to change something in your life that you don't like is to change your energy. So be here now and change your energy. Don't be trying to run away and escape from the energy, but be here now and take charge of the energy and shift the energy. And then the reality shifts to match the energy. So it's not that you're running away from something that you are, rather than saying, I am this, but I'm going to change it, if that makes sense.
That's it?
Yeah, that's it, Corey.
Hey. Joanna says, I feel like I've been going through a period of rapid growth, and I'm in the midst of some big life shifts. I'd like to think that I'm really close to my purpose becoming clear, but I still doubt the process sometimes. Are you able to tell if I'm getting close to that realization?
I do think that you're reading your growth cycle pretty well. It feels like the current growth cycle that you're in is coming to fruition. In any lifetime, we go through many cycles of growth and change. And I do see you're towards the end of the current growth cycle. And you're in the process of, I can't think of the word I can think of is redeeming everything that you have distilled from that latest growth cycle. So it feels like there's, I use the symbol of a rose. There's been a flowering, and the rose is fully open. And in the center of the rose is like this silver, it reminds me of a baby's rattle. It's not a baby, this is a silver object, like a silver egg instead of a golden egg. And it feels like that's the prize. So that there's been all of this growth. And now you're coming to the culmination of that growth and ready to redeem the prize. And then, then the idea is what you then do with that. So I agree with you that you are on the verge of a shift. You are on the verge of claiming your gift and then taking it into the next growth cycle.
Well, Dr. Leslie, that's just about it for one night. We have one more question.
Okay.
And what I'd like to do is if you'd sign off and we'll get to that question afterwards.
Thank you, listeners, for tuning in to Unlocking Your Truth with Dr. Leslie and Corey. We hope that you enjoyed the show, which has all been all about life purpose. We'll see you next week at 7 o'clock Pacific time.
See you then. And so this is from Katie. And Katie says, I know my purpose, but have a hard time articulating it. I believe my throat chakra is blocked, as sometimes I have a hard time finding the right words, and I feel like I'm able to articulate it. I can better understand it and fully and fulfill it. Any advice?
Well, I do see in front of the fifth chakra this kind of like whitish gray energy, which it feels like partly it's fear, partly it's past time energy or past time programming about looks like programming to do with kind of like who's going to listen to me, or they're not going to listen to me, or nobody's going to want to hear what I have to say, or they're going to just ignore me, or just a bunch of stuff like that. That it looks like the advice would be to clear it out of your system, because it's that only becomes your reality if you keep that energy there. The other thing I saw was another energy block across the forehead. I was going to say crown chakra, although now I'm going, okay, but I saw it across the forehead, but it felt like a crown chakra. So let's look at what that's to do with. What I want to say is both of the blocks that I'm seeing, in a way, the guidance would be lead from within. Lead from within yourself. You know who you are. You know why you're here. Lead from within. And it seems like the blocks have to do with when you want that to meet other people. So this one, it's sort of like, what will other people think? You know, or how will they respond? Or even when people get into have, you know, they've got an idea and then they have to market the idea and they're all excited about the idea. And then when they think they've got to sell it to people, it's, you know, it loses its delight, because, you know, now there's all this programming of how you have to make it to be. So it's something like that. It's something to do with how you present yourself to others and what the others are going to think. And so the guidance would be to let that go and just lead from within your own passion, and don't worry about how others will respond or what other people are going to think, because you wouldn't be having that passion inside of you if there wasn't a place for it. I hope that helps.
For real. Thank you all, folks. See you next week. Take care.
Bye, everybody.